One thing about Monique is that she is a brilliant storyteller, and her story is always consistent. Let's talk about it.
Y'all already know what time it is. I got the black V-neck on.
What's going on, you all? I just left Club Shay Shay with Monique and Shannon Sharpe, and I have some thoughts about this entire interview. It was long, but it was good. It is something that you can put on as you're doing your things around the house, or you're even at work or something, have free time. It's an interview that grabs your attention, and it's really because of Monique being such a brilliant storyteller, like how she tells stories, how she's able to give you peaks and valleys, and it's just very good. I love listening I can listen to Monique talk forever. Like, she's just brilliant at that. There were some new things that Monique talked about and shared that adds more perspective on her critiques on Tyler Perry and Oprah. Like, the things that she said about Oprah and Tyler Perry have been very consistent from the very beginning. I love that she hit on that these are our heroes and we can't see them doing wrong. That's something that I've talked about a couple of times, is that it's hard for us to critique Oprah or Tyler Perry because a lot of us unfortunately want to be Tyler Perry or Oprah. We want to be billionaires and rich. We want to run empires and all that other stuff. But we have to understand that there is no such thing as an ethical billionaire. And the more we peek behind the curtain, we start to see that these people do not have the interests of black folks if we really are paying attention. So this interview was 3 hours long, but like I said, it was good. There are some points that I want to hit on. I'm not gonna cover everything that happened in the interview, but things that stood out to me. When she shared the story of reaching out to Kevin Hart and speaking with him and letting Kevin Hart listen to the audio of Tyler Perry, basically admitting that he spreaded a rumor about Monique that was untrue. He shared with people that Monique was difficult to work with. This is something that Monique has said has blackballed her from the industry, not because she wasn't talented, not because she wasn't deserving. It was because of a rumor from a very powerful person as Tyler Perry. And it hurt her. And there's an audio that Monique recorded of Tyler Perry saying these things, and she has let other people listen to it. She's let T.S. Madison listen to it, and now she has let Shannon Sharpe listen to it. And Shannon Sharpe listened to it, and like, he did hear Tyler Perry's voice admitting that he did make up a rumor. Now, in this conversation, Monique is bringing up Kevin Hart speaking with him, and she said that Kevin Hart was going to reach out to Tyler Perry. He reached out to Tyler Perry, and Tyler Perry responded and said he does not want to talk about this. He's moving forward. He's not interested. And he's absolutely not interested in sitting down with Monique and her husband at the same time. And it can only be Monique. And Kevin Hart reached back out to Monique and said that, hey, Tyler Perry is, not interested. He wants to move forward, And Kevin Hart then offers Monique the opportunity to work with him and said, hey, let's get something started. I'm gonna sign off with whatever project. And Monique said that she had a project, something that she was already interested in getting her, a TV show, a daytime TV show. She said she was already in the works with that. And she said getting Kevin Hart on that would have got her approval, like it would have helped her out. She said some time had passed and the project had spoke with Kevin Hart's manager, who she said is white, and said that Kevin Hart was not interested in working with Monique. It don't want anything to do with Monique. So Monique then calls Kevin Hart and has a conversation with him, and Kevin Hart is just like, well, I don't know why he said that. I don't know. Let me speak. It's a communication error. And Monique is saying in this interview, girl, telling Kevin Hart, why are you allowing this man to speak for you and lie, and he's sitting here hurting me, your sister, we black, so what's going on? And she said that Kevin Hart, went on about his way. She's not spoken with Kevin Hart since then. It's been 2 years. 2 years have passed by and she has yet to speak to him or anything. Nothing has came forward from that. Now, she did say that Kevin Hart did write her a check before, he wrote her a check and gave her some money. She said she did. When she got right, she gave it back to him with interest. And she says she appreciates Kevin Hart for doing that. That's why I can respect Monique, because when she speaks about these incidents and situations, she tells what seems to be the whole story things that could make the other person look good in the story. She shares all of it, and she's thankful for that. She didn't have to tell us about Kevin Hart giving her a check or any of that. Some folks would have held back on that because it would have made her seem, broke or whatever, but she doesn't care. She only cares about the truth. And that is something that she spoke with Shannon Sharpe about. She said that she's been through so much throughout her life. She said she's been picked on, being the fat, black, dark-skinned woman. She's always been fat, and come to find out she was in a class that was kind of like a special needs class. I don't like to use the term slow because it's ableist. I think we all learn in different type of ways. I'm a visual person. Even when I am cooking, I can see someone cooking and I kind of mimic or do what they do. Seeing it, reading it, it just does not work. Doesn't mean that I am not as good. It just means I learn differently. And we know that the U.S. education system is not designed to really educate and inform kids. It's to get them ready for the workforce. And the workforce is being in the factory, which are no longer even here anymore. Now, I love when she got Shannon Sharpe together and Shannon Sharpe was like, come on, Monique, you can't do that, you can't do that. And somebody joked and said that that was what he was going to do in the interview, and she shut it down. She said, hold up now, baby, hold up. Like, you see how she disarmed him with so much kindness and so much grace, and she set her boundaries. She does not like being talked to like that. Like, even in that moment, like, folks can take Shannon Sharpe was playful and all that other stuff, but he was a little bit, loud. Shannon Sharpe is very loud. And sometimes he do get a little carried away, and I can imagine how it seems like he's aggressive because he is a muscle, dark-skinned guy, and I can understand that. But Shannon Sharpe definitely changed his tone when speaking to Monique, which tells me that Monique is not a difficult person to work with. She's just a black woman that is standing on business, period. And that's what she's been doing for the longest. Speaking of standing on business, Monique has been standing on business for 10 years. And she shared a story about her talking to Taraji P Henson some years ago and telling her about the industry, just kind of putting a bug in her ear and saying, hey, baby, if we don't ask for the things now, we're never going to get it. I have to ask for the things now. I can't wait till the next time. A decade later, we see Taraji P Henson is out promoting The Color Purple movie and is talking about being underpaid and undervalued, can't even enjoy the success of promoting this movie or whatever, like the press tour, and be all good because she's breaking down at how she's being treated. And she also shares things that were happening. She was not being fed properly on set, and these things were happening on set that was just like, this ain't supposed to be happening to us. And Monique made a great connection, and she touched on that. She said, how is it that you got handpicked for this? If Oprah handpicked you to be a part of this project, she should have had all of these things together. And she said, sometimes when they handpick you, it's because they can get over on you. They can do you any type of way. They can just treat you any type of way. Monique basically shared so much light on people like Oprah, who seem to be meaning well for black folks, but only when it is beneficial for them. Only when it is self-serving. Kind of what Jay-Z did at the Grammys not too long ago, which I'm going to edit a video about that I recorded yesterday. But she said if Oprah truly cared, Taraji P Henson wouldn't have had to deal with any of these things. So it's either Oprah doesn't have the power that she says she has, or Oprah just doesn't care. Which one is it? Because it can't be both. Like, your folks are out here dealing with these things. This stuff should have been fixed. Now, some people would use the excuse and say that Oprah can't manage all these things and da-da-da-da. My thing is, what good is a black billionaire if the black billionaire is not protecting black folks? And that's where we get into conversations about capitalism. Black capitalism is not going to save us, because even with Oprah having this power, quote unquote power, and this $1 billion status or whatever, she's still not able to do enough for the black folks around her. Like, she's still not able to do that. So what does that mean? Getting back to the ethical billionaire. They don't exist. Now, she did give Taraji P Henson some love. She also shared that she was asked to play the role of Cookie as well. She said that Taraji did a wonderful job. She did good, and that role was for her. But she said she was asked to do that as well. I have so much respect for Monique, how she engaged in the conversation and showing us the difference between how she speaks and critiques the industry by calling out names, and how Taraji P Henson was on set talking about these things, but she never named names. And it's not Taraji's fault. But what happens is people do that so they won't experience what Monique has experienced. And therefore, people higher up can continuously do folks wrong. Because if you're not naming, Monique is very clear, say their names or keep it on the playground, period. Say their names. And people do not like Monique doing that. It's uncomfortable for us to name that person that you care so much about is wrong. We saw that recently with, you know, people being critical of Nicki Minaj and how she was talking about, you know, Megan Thee Stallion and how the fans was just lashing out and doxing folks because of a critique. Or these celebrities that they have parasocial relationships with, they do not like them being critiqued for whatever reason. She also has some smoke for, she ate Tiffany Haddish up. And I've been telling y'all about Tiffany Haddish since 2018, to be honest. She ate Tiffany Haddish up. She brought up the interview where Tiffany Haddish said that she doesn't move like how Monique moves. Like when Monique first came out talking about boycotting Netflix and all that other stuff, you know, Tiffany Haddish was being shady. She said, she don't move like that. I ain't doing nothing like that. And I damn sure won't let no man do me like that or have my man somewhere, da-da-da. Monique A. Hub and said, girl, if you had a man like me, if you had a man in your corner, you wouldn't have 2 DUIs. You wouldn't be called out for possibly grooming a child. Like, she chewed her up. Now, I don't think that, you know, having a man or not having a man makes a difference about any of that. But I think having someone in your corner, no matter what, and just being honest with you matters. But no man is going to make a difference. Like, I enjoy Monique's conversations about so many things, but the respectability and, you know, the internalized little sprinkle of misogyny jumps out where, you know, if you had a man, it's just like, girl, you don't have to have a man to be a good person. Like, you know, folks have men and be in relationships and still be having DUIs. Period. But I got where she was coming from. It's just like, if you had somebody in your corner who cared about you while you dragging me, like you talking about my man, like at least my man would kept me from doing stuff like this, like how you are acting. And whoo, it's a lot because honestly, Tiffany Haddish, you know, had a friend who was a man, Aries Spears, who got called out for this project that they did that got in trouble for. Like, girl, like, come on now. Now on Monique and the respectability, she, you know, talked about her thoughts on the bonnet situation, her thoughts on bonnets and, you know, black women being out. Monique, I love you, sister, and I pray one day, I know it's a lot, but I say pray. I pray one day I'm able to interview her. But the respectability when it comes to the bonnets and saying that we, you know, we've been dealing with stuff since we got off the boat. I don't like that type of, I hate that type of ideology. Like, we've been dealing with stuff and we need to show representation and all that other stuff. Girl, representation is not going to get us anything. So the same way that you're saying we need to be whatever, like show representation and look astute or whatever to be taken serious, is the same comments that are coming back critiquing you for how you're handling this whole thing with Oprah and Tyler Perry. You're not being quote unquote respectable and it's still not getting you anywhere. It doesn't matter how you do it. You just called out Taraji for being respectable, critiquing the industry and not naming names. That was her being respectable. She's still not getting the things. You're not being quote unquote respectable and you're not getting the things. So what's the correlation? What's one of the things that's missing? The person who is in positions of power to deny y'all of these things, who are often what? Period. Let's talk about it. So representation, I'm not interested in the 3 black women who go into the Krogers or the Publix or whatever in house shoes and bonnets and all the other stuff. Period. I don't care. Like, who gets to set the bar of what is respectable? Because when the white girls are walking around in Lululemon and tight pants and all the other stuff and tennis shoes and stuff, so is that the standard? What standard are we following and who gets to set what standard it is? It does not matter. How you dress, you should be treated as a person. The same way that you talked about how people engage with you being a fat, dark-skinned woman. It's about your soul and your character. It's not about what you look like on the inside. It's not about what you look like on the outside, but we know the world, how it works, is that when you look a specific type of way, they have less respect for you and do not value you. So it does not matter if they are showing up in all the Western clothes, they're still going to be disrespected. You are dressing up, your hair looked amazing, laid, everything, and you're still not being valued and appreciated as a black woman in the industry. So what does that say? It absolutely does nothing. It looks good, it sounds good on paper, but does it? When the paper's been thrown to shreds. So, like I said, I enjoyed Monique having a conversation. I can listen to her talk all the time. One thing I did take away from this interview is that I am ready for Monique to sit down with an interviewer who understands anti-blackness, misogyny, and all of the things in sexism, because I feel as though Monique spends so much time trying to explain things that should be already understood to the interviewer. Because Shannon Sharpe is not a journalist. Like, this is not his thing. He just has charisma. And I feel like that's where quote unquote journalism is right now, is that a lot of these folks don't have journalism skills. They don't even have the basics. They're just good storytellers, but they're not as polished as someone like a Monique. So Shannon Sharpe was struggling a little bit with this interview because he doesn't have it. He does not have the basics of journalist skills. And the reason why I say I want somebody to be able to understand what she is dealing with as a black woman to interview her, so we can move past the surface level conversations. And I'll give you an example. When Janet Mock went on The Breakfast Club and spoke on her trans identity, she was not able to talk about more pressing issues. She had to go and talk about, you know, if she has certain parts of this, like silly questions that you should not be talking about. Janet Mock, established in her career as she is, should not be coming on an interview answering these basic questions. The same with Monique, talking about, yes, I shouldn't have to explain to you what it is for black women to deal with these things. Shannon Sharpe was scared to even call her fat. She is a fat, dark-skinned woman. We don't say that as a negative thing, but the negatives happen anyway. So we have to name that. I love that Monique is getting, like, she's naming these things, because she's been doing it. She's doing it to me like she's saying it when she's describing herself being a fat, black, dark-skinned woman, and how the difference of her being treated compared to Taraji was, you know, because Taraji is smaller, and how she engaged in not naming these folks. Monique said again and again, it is not the message, it's the messenger. People don't like me because they think I should be deserving. I should be grateful that somebody is interested. And that happens a lot when it comes to anti-fatness. Like, that is some things that, you know, fat folks deal with. Like, you should be lucky to be here. And being a fat, dark-skinned person, you should be thankful. You don't have a reason to complain, because you should be glad that we're even choosing you. Like I said, it was a good interview, but I would like for somebody to have a little bit more knowledge of these things when we're talking about, like, things that black women are facing in the industry, like, more able to describe it and talk about it. And I think that will help these interviews not be 3 hours long. Like, these interviews are, like, there's nothing wrong with a 3-hour interview. I feel like some of these times could be cut if the person being interviewed did not have to explain basic things. And I feel like that is what Monique has to do sometimes, because these people are not knowledgeable on said things. And that's just what it is. And some folks say, oh, well, she's explaining it to everybody. She's educating the world. That's not her job as a black woman, to explain these things and then have to talk about pain. Like, girl, y'all requiring way too much labor. Way too much labor. If you're interested in understanding it, grab a book, read some stuff. There's plenty of folks doing this work online right now. I've interviewed some of these folks. They've been on my platforms. I've been on their platforms. So if you're interested really in understanding these things, you have to pay attention. But if you're not willing to do the work, we can't help you. That's my thoughts. I enjoyed the interview. I think Monique did a good job basically hitting all the things that she's been saying for years. I think that a lot of people owe Monique a lot of apologies. I think Tyler Perry owed her a couple of $1 million. Like, Monique can talk about this forever, as long as she wants. Like, she named that she was going through it financially because of these things that Tyler Perry said. That's why I'm not interested in Tyler Perry and the stuff. Like, Tyler Perry is not a good person. Tyler Perry is not a good person, and Oprah is a crook. Like, both of them are crooked people. I can't take you serious when you don't have respect for the same person who is in the industry with you. Like, if you don't have respect for them, I know you're not gonna have respect for us. The only reason why you have respect for us is because we are consuming the products that you are putting out, and you need us to buy into you for you to be as rich as you are. That's all I got. Let me know what y'all thought about the interview in the comments, and I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.